All right, Max, tell me what you're doing here.
Well, we've had sheds laying on the table here in the camp pretty much ever since it was built. So what we decided to do was lay out all the sheds that we've found off of deer we've killed, found, and pretty much just sheds in general. But we left all the small ones, kind of beat up ones like this, and some big ones that have got chewed up and whatnot. Just some of the more crappy sheds. We left them in here, and then we got all the ones that are worthwhile kind of out and about. But these are all the sheds pretty much over the past basically 5 years, 4 to 5 years, and majority are in 3 years. But we'll just start. I'll start with this one, the biggest, pretty much non-typical to typical shed that we have off of trash is what we named him right there at the top. As you can see, how big, 70 and some change is what this shed scored. I actually do not remember what trash scored, but it was upper 150s. So that's probably one of the biggest sheds. I'll go to goalpost here next. This is a big typical. This is 66 and 2/8 shed. The year before Leewood killed him. Giant deer, biggest body deer we've killed on our Ohio farm. So very, very proud of that deer, obviously, and the growth that it made. It's insane deer. The next one I'll go over is Dirty Dozen. This is the year before we killed him. The biggest typical deer, biggest deer in general that we've killed. 181 to 182. Boone and Crockett, typical whitetail in Ohio. Just a giant deer all around. So very, very cool. This is a cool shed that I didn't really know that we had, but probably the biggest, most impressive shed. I don't know who found it, but
Yeah, I don't know who found it either, but I mean, size comparison, put it down next to Trash's shed,
I'll just hold trash up beside it.
just for comparison.
I mean,
Look at the tine length and the mass on that other one.
And this would have been years before. There's the bases just put
And
in.
Trash had some crazy bases too.
So this deer is, as far as I know, no one shot at it, killed it, or anything. So that's pretty much that.
Tell me about your first set you found over here ever. Your first mega set.
This is pretty much the biggest mega set we found here. This was the first one. He broke off some trash that he had sticking up and out. We called this buck cluster. This year was hoping he'd turn into a giant, and then never saw him again after he dropped these. Very, very impressive deer. Not a big body, young deer for sure. So we elected to pass him this year, but never, unfortunately, bet on the deer, and it didn't work out in our favor. But that's a chance we're willing to take with the majority of these deer.
We got some other scragglers over here, like this zigzag deer and this notched up. Some young deer that had some cool stuff. We never named them, but I mean, these are all over the past, I'll say 4 to 5 years that we've really started collecting them heavily or started looking for them. Max finds a lot of time. He really is able to get after it.
This is also off of the Dirty Dozen. This is when he got his name 2 years before he was killed. As you can see, he made an insane jump. Actually cracked the split on his brow tine, but these are very impressive sheds for a 3.5-year-old deer to 2.5-year-old deer. So
Tell me about this 9 right here.
impressive. This one?
No, tell me about this one over here.
This 9, this was a buck I passed last year, lived behind the camp, 53 and 3/8 on this side, and 61 and 2/8 on this side. Very impressive deer. I elected to pass him last year, mainly because I figured we'd have a chance to hunt him this year, but haven't seen him. We're assuming that he died to EHD, unfortunately. Big deer, long main beams. Pretty big body last year, but once again betted on the deer and didn't work out in our favor. But that's just an unfortunate turn of events. This is buck called 45. I these G3s at 45-degree angles, long main beams, no brow tines, no G2s, but long G3s and main beams. So the year after we found these, he was much bigger, had longer G2s, longer brow tines, and these absolutely blew up, and he blew up as well. I can't remember really why we passed him, but we elected to pass him as well, and never caught up with him. This deer, I don't remember what we named this deer. This deer had a spike that went up to here on this side, and then the other side looked like this. This would have been last year, and never saw him again. So,
Tell me about this wild looking thing right here.
this deer, this is Branch. This is the biggest compound bow buck we've killed on this property. We killed him in 2022. Very impressive deer. This is 20. This would be 2020. This would be 2021, and that's 2022. With what he looked like when we were fortunate enough to take him. The year before is when he got his name Branch, simply because of this shed right here. This is the year before this, and that's the year after. So crazy what nature does and the things that they do and how tough they are to get to that after they go through this. It's pretty impressive. This is Mr. G, big typical 10 point this year. Was a big 12 point last year with splits off his G2s. I think he died to EHD as well, passed him. But EHD, I think, got the best of him. This is a buck we called Iron Horse, giant deer. This is 2 years before we killed him. This is the year before these. Had a 2-inch, 1.5-2 inch drop time. Most certainly the same deer. Hold these up, kind of to put it into perspective. But he's up on the wall right there. That's 2 years after we found these sheds. The year before that, he had his biggest antler rack. But he was a ghost. Never saw him in daylight. Had a lot of pictures of him, but no one ever saw him on the hoof. The year after the year that he had his biggest rack at the end of season during the rut, I think it was in November, he busted up his knee and broke his knee. Had a big ball on his knee. That's how we could tell when we started getting pictures of him if that was him. Leewood snuck up in a bean field, but we call it bean field, but it was a cornfield that year. Rainy day, terrible conditions, but he happened to slip up on that day, and that's what we were betting on. And Leewood made the decision and made a good shot, and he died. Died probably 60 yards from him. But impressive deer there. This is a deer, pretty impressive. The other side was almost identical. Long brow tines. I think EHD got the best of him.
I really like this one here. It's a buck we called Waves. This was one of the first ones that Max and I found together, actually. Whenever we were first started it, I don't know how many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, really religiously, looking for them. But the main beams look really long and they're not. They're only like 17 inches or so. But that's probably one of my, if not my favorite one here outside of Branch. Max already showed Branch, but I mean a lot of these deer are chewed up. They've all got pretty good tine length, but some of them, it's funny how much they change from year to year. Max is really good about, keeping the matching sheds, and seeing who's close and who's not, but being able to see the progression over the years, it's pretty cool. Hopefully, we've already found quite a few deadheads this year because of EHD. Some of them are already in velvet, which isn't much fun, but that's a little bit of a glimpse into our shed collection, more so Max's shed collection. But hopefully we'll have some more deer here in the upcoming years to be able to share some stories with you, or maybe share our stories with some of these that we have hanging here. You know, this is a collection over all the years of us hunting here. It's pretty cool. We've got some really cool deer here. So